very, very, very funny and interesting. A group of misinformed people who call themselves foundational Black Americans or African American, not even African Americans, they call themselves Black Americans, have the effrontery to accuse Ghana of fronting the reparation conversation because of money motives. And on the day of the ceremony, they were holding placards outside and calling out some people, including the president of the Republic of Ghana. And this is very appalling. These same people who call themselves foundational Black Americans says they are not Africans. They are not, and I repeat, they are not Africans. They are not African descent, and that they are people from the soil. So if people of African descent were moved and were taken off the continent for whatever reason, what effrontery do you have to talk about reparation yourself?
You sold our ancestors for umbrellas. You sold our ancestors for fine china. You sold our ancestors for any little trinket that you could get. And now, you mad because other nations got rich off the slave trade and all you got was some beads. And now you want to sit here and try to ask for $100 million to translate the place where you sold and held our ancestors. And let me repeat the sentiment of my sister that just spoke.
Get them off. Get them off. They're getting on my nerves. These people don't learn. They don't know a jack about history, but they have the effrontery to talk and accuse people of gaining from reparation. We know where you stand, and the reason why you are doing this is because you think people is there for the money. And mind you, people were also enslaved into the Caribbeans and what have you. Special African artifacts were stolen. People lost their fathers and the rest of them. But you still have the effrontery to tell us, Africans, that we don't have the effrontery to talk about reparation. We know all you want and all you think about is money. But this is not just money. It is about restoring dignity. Your country, which is America, failed to vote to recognize reparation as the gravest crime against humanity. And you still stand there to accuse the person and the people who want them to be recognized as the gravest crime against humanity. What ignorance. The president didn't take it lightly as well, and he has this to say.
I don't know whether for attention or popularity criticized the achievement and tried to belittle it. And they made all kinds of infantile arguments. They say, so, but Africans were involved. I mean, the crime was systematic. The ships that carried the slaves were insured by reputable insurance companies that are some of the richest in the world today and profited from the slave trade. The ship owners made money. Reparations, and listen to the important one, reparations were paid to slave owners for letting the slaves go. When they abolished slave trade and said the slaves could go, they compensated the person who has enslaved somebody for loss of property. As recently as 2015, compensation was paid to people for losing their slaves. And you come and tell me that we recognize this as a grievous crime, and you say, oh, but Africans were involved.
Yeah, funny.
This was a whole system. They built ships, and they built the ships with measurements to make sure that the cargo can take the maximum amount of slaves. And you tell me that, you know, Africans were involved, so we shouldn't talk about reparations. You know, I don't know. I mean, some people just, you know, want to whittle down what happened. If you know what happened to the slaves, nothing compares to it in everything that has happened in this world, to the 15 million people who were sent away, those who died. I'll give you the case of one example. A ship captain threw 134 slaves overboard to go and claim insurance because the cargo, your ancestors were cargo. And so if the ship lost cargo, there was insurance that compensated for the loss of cargo. And 134 slaves, he threw them overboard and went and filed an insurance claim for loss of cargo. And you know, before now, the arguments have been fragmented. A few people have acknowledged. I know some of the leading corporates have come and apologized for their role in this, but the whole discussion has been fragmented. And so our purpose was to put it on record, the true story of the slave trade. if even to just let the spirit of our ancestors rest, I am happy that we went.
Will serve as endowment funds to support education, to support empowerment, to support skills training, capital for entrepreneurs, and all of that. And we have made clear that African leaders or Caribbean leaders are not looking for money. It goes against our conscience. We all know that the consequences of the transatlantic slave trade has been the lack of opportunity, discrimination, the degradation of people of color. So we have said, let's have frameworks that will serve as endowment funds to support education, to support empowerment, to support skills training, capital for entrepreneurs, and all of that. And we have made clear that African leaders or Caribbean leaders are not looking for money. It goes against our conscience to seek to profit from this.
What a bold step. In the many, many years of the conversation of reparation, who has been able to front and lead the agenda like this man? Let us learn our history and stop making noise on the streets. This is Black Wakanda TV, and we are here to stay. Like and subscribe to be part of the family. This is Sufi Dunedu. We out.